This is a public service announcement.
It isn't by size that you win or you fail. Be the best of whatever you are.
No, try not. Do or do not. There is no try.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho, H to the O-P.
Welcome to the Next Play podcast series brought to you by Game Plan. My name is Vin McCaffrey, and today's going to be a fun conversation. We have Corey Linsley of the Green Bay Packers join us. Corey and I first met several years ago. He was a junior at Ohio State. I was guest lecturing a class. We've hit it off and stayed in touch, become friends. Corey is a mature, confident, well thought out, incredibly hardworking person, which has served him well, becoming the success he's become in the NFL, playing for Green Bay. This conversation, we touch on a lot of topics. We walk through the experience playing at Ohio State, balancing athletics and academics, thinking about career perspective, something that Coach Meyer instills. Now that transition into the NFL, he's overcoming an injury, the focus it takes to overcome those injuries, which will soon be a thing of the past for him, which I'm very excited to say. I've said it before, Corey Linsley is the kind of guy that when I talk to our son Quinn about role models as athletes, he's that guy. He is the person I use as an example. He's a wonderful human being, someone that we can learn a lot from. So I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. It's a fun one. He touches on a lot of good topics. Let's jump in. Thanks. Hello, and thanks for joining the Next Play podcast series. This is Vin McCaffrey with Game Plan, and I'm very excited that I have Mr. Corey Linsley of the Green Bay Packers, Ohio State alumni, the Ohio State alumni. Corey, how are you, man?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good. It's been fun. Getting a chance to get ready for the call. We haven't talked in a while, but it's been a few years since I've gotten to know you. It's gone fast.
I know, it really has. It seems like yesterday you came in to speak to that class, but I forget what it was called, and we met up and hit it off. But yeah, it has gone by fast, no doubt.
Yeah. So now you go proving the point that football players aren't even paying attention to what the name of the class is. And
exactly. Yeah.
That's good.
Strong.
Yeah, of course. You know, I would expect nothing less. I'm excited for the conversation. We've had. The Next Play series is off to a good start. We've got some wonderful guests, but this is a unique opportunity for someone who, I've gotten to know, who I admire, greatly. I've said to you before, if our little guy Quinn grows up and becomes Corey Linsley, we've done good as mom and dad. But more than that, I think you now have balanced the student athlete experience at an amazing level, at the highest of high levels. You're now a professional athlete, and yet, you still have these outside interests. And so I really want to talk more about that but let me just start with, the bio of Corey Linsley, big time recruit coming out of Ohio. What schools did you actually visit before you committed to Ohio State?
First off, I appreciate you saying that, Ben. But I looked at, initially the two big schools were Stanford and Ohio State. And I also took visits to both of those schools, and I also took visits to Illinois and Pittsburgh, and I believe that was it.
Okay.
One informal visit to West Virginia too, but those are the big ones.
Got it. Yeah. Now you're going to break my wife's heart. She's an Illini, so she's
oh, man.
You visited Illinois and you went to Ohio State. Like, I might not be able to put this podcast on, because I know where my bread is buttered. Trust me. So you go to Ohio State. You're recruited by Coach Tressel, correct?
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. And pretty early on in your career, Coach Meyer comes into the situation. What's that like as, someone who's on the Ohio State football program, getting someone like Coach coming into the program?
It was really, it was interesting because you go to Ohio State, any school like that, Ohio State, Texas, and it's kind of funny because, I'm naming all these schools and they've had big head coaching changes in the past decade or so. USC, all those guys, going to Ohio State, I never expected to play for anybody but Tressel. And it just shows you that, you know, things can turn on a dime. It doesn't matter who you are, what your record is, or whatever. Unfortunate circumstances can occur to the best people. And Coach Tressel he's an amazing guy, amazing coach. You can go on and talk about him for days, but
yep.
he, you know, when that happened, it was a shock to the program. And, you know, obviously it's worked out extremely well. We were fortunate to have Coach Meyer come there. And I mean, Coach Meyer is, you know, people ask me all the time, like, what's the differences between the two? Yeah, there are differences, but they're both amazing, great coaches, amazing motivators, and great people to be around. And I'm very fortunate to have been coached by both of them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, two-story coaches, you don't get that experience.
No, exactly.
Most college athletes, and you've had that. It's amazing. You know, not obviously the type of experience you've had with Coach Myers, but learning more about him through the years, having a chance to work for the Ohio State. It's his, you know, not only what he does on the field, but his balance of keeping perspective, you know, the Keeping It Real Wednesdays and the work that he does with the kids it's really impressive to be around. He's and he's a slightly intense individual, if I can say. That's what I've come to hear. Yeah.
Just a little bit, yeah. Intensity is kind of one of his fortes. Yeah.
So one of the topics I really wanted to get into is, let's start with Ohio State, because we're definitely going to get to the Green Bay Packers, but you know, that's where you and I met. I was guest lecturing in a career class, and you and I hit it off. You had these really wonderful outside interests around, you know, entrepreneurial endeavors, particularly around education. But you know, you balanced big time athletics, as you said, and not just participating, but excelling in big time athletics. You were studying. What was your major at Ohio State?
My major I started off as a poli-sci major, and then I finished with economics, and so graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Economics. Okay.
Yeah, interesting. And then, and yet you and I still had these conversations about these outside interests. So how do you keep the balance of that? Like, how's a young person, when you look back now, it's a couple years removed, how did you have that balance?
Honestly, it was difficult at first, and every university is different, because, you know, the limelight at Ohio State gets, you know, you're a celebrity on campus no matter who you are. If you play on the football team, attention is going to be attracted to you, and I think that's kind of the case with most universities. I think it's a little obviously elevated at Ohio State and some of the bigger universities, but anytime you go get a scholarship to play football at a university, Division I university, it's coming in there, you know, you don't really know what to expect. Maybe you have some idea of what it's going to be like, but you're kind of in limbo for a little bit. You know, you're waiting to get attracted to something that, you know, interests you. And I think that initially when I got to Ohio State, I was sort of attracted to, you know, the college lifestyle, in that, you know, partying on the weekends and, you know, playing football, and you I kind of fell into the, kind of that stereotype, if you will, of just kind of focusing on football and then having fun. And, but when, I think one of the most important things that happened to me over the course of my career, not only with hitting a bump in the road, both in my athletic life and in my academic life, but it was the renewed interest in academics and, you know, having an interest sparked in entrepreneurial ventures and seeing all these opportunities that you had beyond football. And I think that's one of the most important things that, you know, Coach Meyer does now, that, and not that Coach Tressel didn't do it at all. He did a great job of it. It was my fault entirely. But one of the best things that, you know, they do at Ohio State is those Real Life Wednesdays, and that their whole goal is to show you and inspire you that this avenue through college football you're getting an amazing education completely without, you leave college without any debt, and you're basically, you get a college stipend, and honestly, it's a lot to live off of, and you have this great opportunity and all the connections that you can make and all the things that you can do beyond football. If you can get guys like it happened with me, and talking with you and seeing you up there in that class and hearing you talk and all the dreams and the visions that you had for your company, and it inspired me to say, hey, you know what, this guy was a collegiate athlete. He didn't take the route of just being mediocre in academics and just trying to ride out his athletics. He took full advantage of both areas of his life. And I was like, you know what, that's something that I want to do. And I think inspiring kids like that at that point in my life, getting, the attention away from all the BS and really focused on being driven and having a vision for the rest of your life is so important. And that's kind of what helped change my life and the direction that I was headed.
Yeah. Thanks for the kind words. You said a lot there. So one of the things I took away, and I think about you, and I know of a lot of other individuals kind of similar in nature, right? This high performer, high gear in a lot of different walks of life. None of them seem mutually exclusive, right? When you have these interests and passions for beyond sport and beyond college, that doesn't mean that you're not going to give it your all in sport. It doesn't mean that you're not going to give up it doesn't mean that you don't have this dream of playing in the NFL as you've successfully done. But yet you find ways to do that. What is there a secret sauce there that helps an individual like you get to that? Like, is there someone that you've worked with or just some training you've gone through, or is it something that you just think about that helps you kind of get the discipline associated with, hey, I'm going to graduate Ohio State, no brainer there. I'm going to get it done. But I also have all these other interests. I'm going to keep working towards that. But right now my priority is NFL. That's not going to be there forever. So let's go take advantage of that. But all the while I'm still thinking about life beyond that. I mean, there's a lot of transitions that are kind of happening. I mean, how do you do that? Is there a secret sauce, the best way of approaching it? I mean, how do you approach that?
I think that one of the best, the way that I approach it, and obviously, just like you said, this isn't everyone's way to approach it, but this is the way I do it. The best one, I'm not a big quote guy, but one of the best quotes that I ever saw was what Steve Jobs said, and he said it was something to the effect of when you have a vision, a true vision, you don't need to drive yourself. You don't need to be driven. The vision pulls you, and that's a little intense for what where I'm at right now. But because the vision is football, and I got to dedicate most of my hours to that. But truly, it's getting that vision and wanting to do. It's the want and the vision inside you, and trying to, and because not everybody's going to do the same. Not every collegiate athlete, you can't just plug them into. They don't all go into one avenue. We don't all go into sales, and we don't all go into entrepreneurship, and we don't all go into medicine, what have you. But truthfully, it's getting interested in something and saying to yourself, this is something that I would want to do. This is something that I have a dream about, because not only is football not going to last forever, but it's also, this is entertainment. And I think that while it is, toughness and teamwork and all that stuff, the business side of it is entertainment. And I think a lot of guys want their life and want their to have a lot of meaning, and that's why guys do so many outreach opportunities, and guys have so much involvement in the community. And part of that, on the flip side, is when you're done with this, what are you going to do with your life, and how are you going to help impact other people? And that's something, just in general, the vision is so important to have and instill in kids at a young age when they come into college, to really have that, to pull them in the right direction.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. But, you know, an individual who's accomplished like what you have, drive is a relative term, right, for those individuals. I mean, being around you, like I know, I mean, it separates individuals, right? And what you've done, it's clearly separated you and your performance. Let's talk about this. You were kind. You were saying I was in college. I didn't expand my college athletic experience. I'm thinking here, that there were certain limitations associated with that. There weren't a lot of opportunities beyond Lehigh basketball for me, but at the same time, they are for you. And so here you are. You're fifth round draft choice, right? The Green Bay, arguably the most storied NFL franchise. What's that like? I mean, the average guy, right? And not even the average guy. We're talking about athletes that are listening to this, that one day their dream is to be the next Corey Linsley. What is that day like?
The draft day?
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty amazing. And I look back on it now and think of it fondly. And I think that just having that day happen and getting your name called like that, it was amazing. And the greatest part about it was just that, not that your dream, because your dream's just starting. That's the thing. They always talk about it when you get to the NFL. It's the guys that get drafted, unless you're a first, second, or third rounder, the guys that get drafted, you just got a little more pocket change. They just got a little bit more money to start off. But in that moment, it's sort of like sort of validation for all the work that you put in and all the things that you work so hard to accomplish. And I was happy more so for my family and my friends that they were able to see me do that and live in the moment with me. It was only 24 hours because the next day we were shipped off to Green Bay and we began. But, for that 24 hours, it was pretty amazing. It was pretty special.
Yeah. Yeah. But your rookie year, I mean, through some opportunities, you took an amazing advantage of it, right? I mean, you were right there in the all pro team. I mean, just right. I was pulling for you. The very little pull that I'd have other than a vote, but I mean, it's like, it's right there. A hell of a rookie year that you had.
Yeah, definitely. And, sometimes, opportunities come in different ways, and, nobody, what happened in my case was the guy got hurt, and, he's currently playing right now because I got hurt. And,
right.
And not to take away anything from him, he's a great player. But it's just that's how the league works sometimes, and you get opportunities at different times, and it's crazy. You got to be ready, and I think that's something that we learned at Ohio State was that next man up. You got to be ready to go for your team, and I think I did a pretty good job of that my rookie season. So it was amazing. I thought we should have had it all, but that's said and done with, and we're moving on.
Yeah, I hear you.
We moved on from that.
Yeah, well, but now you progressed first few years incredibly successful, and you kind of just alluded to it, right? Then some injuries come up, and you get the bug. 2 pulled hamstrings, pretty short window of time, right?
Yeah, it was pulled a hamstring right before OTAs, and then re-aggravated it right before camp as well when I was training. And I mean, it is what it is. I would much rather, 1,000 times over, I would rather pull my hamstring because I was working too hard and working, I should have been smarter about it. And, there's things that I wish I could have done different, but I would have rather done it the way I did it by working my butt off and trying to get in shape for camp than, being out of shape and then coming into camp and looking like an idiot and then pulling it. That's the little silver lining that you have. And so that's it.
Yeah. But it's those mental tricks that we play, right, to get us through, just to create the mindset for what you need to go do. I mean, so So now you're rehabbing. We were talking a little bit ahead of this discussion. You're feeling good. Yeah. So how was the rehab? It's several months, but I mean, it sounds like it's gone very well.
Yeah, it has. And I think that hamstrings are a tricky thing. Any muscular injury, it's a tricky thing when you don't, because I didn't have it didn't pull off the bone at all. It was a rupture within the muscle belly. So, it's kind of, it was crazy because I was feeling good and then all of a sudden, tore it again. And, so it was, the Packers are a great organization. They invest in their guys, and they allowed me to take a conservative approach to this by putting me on the physically unable to perform list, which gave me 6 weeks to fully recover. And it was I give credit to the trainers, the staff that we have here, all the resources that I've used, getting physical therapy and all that stuff. The biggest thing of it, if anybody listening to this ever goes through something like that, the biggest thing is the mental thing, because the mental side of it, the psychological aspect, where when you're not out there for so long, you kind of start to question yourself, and you're like, do I still have it? Do I still, am I still, what's going to happen to me at the end of this? Is this going to change the way I play? And then, the hardest part about overcoming an injury, honestly, is that. And the biggest thing that I think that trainers and everybody here and have helped me with that is being able to talk with me and work with me and getting my confidence level back up. And I really feel like that helped as much as any exercise that I did.
Yeah, but it's mental. Keeping the edge. Yeah. How do you have a chance to still obviously see him and interact with your teammates? How much of that is part of your day as well, just to keep up the camaraderie?
Oh, it's huge. And that's what's so tough about guys. I was fortunate to go on physically unable to perform list, which gives you 6 weeks to recover, and then an allotted amount of time to practice and get back up to speed. But some of the guys that go on IR and stuff, injured reserve, which is 90% of the time season ending, that's tough to go through that. Being able to keep up the camaraderie, let guys know you're there, because it's it's almost like out of sight, out of mind, and not knocking that at all. It's the nature of the business, but that's definitely a tough thing to do. But it's extremely important to just be around, let people know you're there, and show people that you're working and trying to get back for the team.
Yeah. You redshirted at Ohio State, right? Your first year?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Is there any similarities to kind of what you're going through now versus that redshirt year?
I would say the biggest similarity between the two, and again, there's not a whole lot, because in my instance, because I was redshirted due to just my lack of progression and ability to pick up the offense and stuff at Ohio State. But the biggest thing is committing yourself to refining your craft, even though you're not out there playing. And you can always get better. You can always get better in practice. You can always get better in the weight room. You can always get better in the film room. And being able to sit there consistently day after day, knowing that, just like when I was, I'm currently not on the physically unable to perform list. I'm practicing right now, but when I was on the PUP list, it was, being able to sit there and run through drills and being able to do the things that I could do to refine my craft, and utilizing the resources that I had, just like my redshirt year, getting the extra work and seeing the strength coach. What can I work on? What can I improve on? All that stuff. It's hard to do because, again, you're not playing, but it's something that needs to happen.
Yeah. As you describe it, one of the since we had a chance to work together back when you were an undergrad, one of the investments we made into was an assessment around what we call the athletic identity, and every athlete identifies as an athlete, what's that really mean, right? And we try to tackle that. And it's not an easy discussion because every athlete is very unique. So we've come up with these 8 key categories that we believe, one, if not two, really identify, the uniqueness associated with the athlete. What you were just describing is kind of part of your day, is similar to, and I'm not trying to compare you or my athletic experiences. Trust me, it's not like in even the same stratosphere. But we had similar interests around what we call structure. We appreciate the structure an athletic environment brings. We value the structure an athletic environment brings, understanding what's expected of you and your tasks and your day. And there's a value to that. And a lot of athletes put a high value to that and identify it. And kind of what you're describing, one of the things that we see as a negative impact associated with that is when an athlete's done playing, or those times when they're injured and they're away from the sport, and it's unexpected, and they lose a little of that structure. They feel a little undone, right? They kind of come off the rails, and it's really impressive to hear what you're talking about, that you kept the focus, you kept the mental edge, because that's what we've seen is the first spot is where your loss is not physically, it's actually where you lose is mentally, keeping the focus.
Yeah, no doubt. And everything you said right there, it paints a perfect picture of it. It's all about keeping that focus and that edge. And you hit it right on the head. Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
So I'm not putting a topper to your career, because God knows if you can go play for the next 20 years, I want to be your agent. But let's say 20 years down the line, you're thinking about where you are and what's next. I mean, you've built some unbelievable assets as an athlete. This edge, this mental framework that you're building, and the determination, the grit, all the stuff that we kind of know student athletes and now professional athletes gather. What is it you think that you'll one day want to transition into? Have you kind of let your mind go there yet, or you? And I understand the discipline of not allowing your mind to do that too, because you're all in on the athlete. So and if you say that, I'd actually probably appreciate that as much. But I'm just just a conversation topic, I'm curious to hear what you think.
Yeah, I definitely. You're right. It's kind of a mind game. You want to think about it, but you also don't want to think about it, because that means it's over. And but I have without a doubt put thought into it, and I think the best, the most fortunate part that I being in the league is that they give you through our benefits program and the stuff that the NFLPA really has fought for us to have, is that NFL continuing education program, and you can get grants to go back and continue your education. I'm fortunate to have graduated and have already done that, but should I want to take another avenue, business school or maybe physical therapy school or something, I feel like I've built up this network of contacts just by exposing myself to a bunch of different avenues. And, that can get dangerous sometimes, because, you might say, you don't know what you really want to do. You don't have your foot down. But, I'm fortunate to be in the position that I'm in, where I can have that sort of uncertainty. But it's an uncertainty in, what I want to put my foot down on, not in uncertainty in, what the hell am I going to do,
Right.
And I think that the biggest thing that, in my position and guys that are in my position, we had, I think, Clinton Dix, who's starting safety for us, he's going back to get his degree. And, James Starks, I know, did that as well. He's a running back for us. And there's a lot of guys taking advantage of that already. And so, to answer your question, I guess, I don't have my foot down on exactly what I want to do, but I'm starting to explore different avenues. I'll definitely, this off season, Ohio State have taken advantage job shadows in sales and banking and entrepreneurship, excuse me, and all these different things. And one day when this is all over, hopefully later rather than sooner, but whatever day it should be, I know that I'm prepared to do whatever it is that I want to do.
Yeah, I bet you will be. Like I was listening to a podcast series, and J.J. Redick was talking to his college coach, Mike Krzyzewski, about his experience both coaching at Duke, but also coaching in the Olympic team, the professional athletes. And Coach K's point was, by doing both doesn't take one away from the other. It actually enhances both. It's not mutually exclusive. By coaching the Team USA, it's made him a better coach at Duke, and vice versa. I don't think it's a similar. It's spot on similar. But I've seen and talked with some athletes where they've gone out and understood some other interests. They haven't necessarily explored it, right? They're not all in on them, but the fact that they understand these other interests have given them just a sense of purpose on their current mission, professional athletics, playing for the Packers. It's really valued. It's kind of like we talk about these mindsets. It's just these little mindset tricks and tweaks and disciplines that we have to be able to focus like that. It's really impressive to be around guys like yourself who do that, because they get better in their day, but at the same time, they're actually setting themselves up for future success too. It's win-win,
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that coming from guys like J.J. Redick and Mike Krzyzewski, I mean, those are two names that you've learned to respect over the years, and I mean when something's coming out of their mouth, best to listen and heed to,
Yeah. Who do you like? So now that you're in the league, you've got now a family of yourself. Congratulations on the recent marriage and wedding. I remember when you guys got engaged. So kind of just transition a little bit to some lighter hearted topics. You've a married man, and she hasn't smartened up yet, so that's a good sign. Yeah.
I got her fooled. I don't know how much longer I can keep it up, but I'm trying. I'm pushing.
Did I also read you guys got a dog?
Oh yeah, we got a dog. It's Yogi. He's like the color of a golden retriever, but he almost kind of looks like a foxhound. He's a little rascal sometimes. Likes to wake up real early in the morning.
How old?
He is. He's 11 months old.
All right, so still puppy then, yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm looking out my window in my office, and our 4-year-old Great Dane is sitting out there sleeping. I'm sure. Geez. And it's like this. As soon as they hit like a year and a half, it's all of a sudden it slows down a little bit. The walls aren't eating as much. The shoes aren't eating as much. It's life gets a lot better. Yeah. It's fun.
I like what I'm hearing.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Trust me. As my wife reminded me, thank God they're so cute, because you wouldn't keep them around if you didn't,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you get back to Columbus at all?
I have in the past, because my wife Anna, she had a job at Mettler Toledo. She was a marketing specialist, and then she was I forget her exact title, but she coordinated events for the company and the last year that she was there. And so yeah, I had an apartment in Columbus and then an apartment up here as well. And so yeah, I've been back there training at Ohio State for sure.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Quinn and I were back for a game with my dad last year, and it was first time in the Horseshoe. I mean, that place is something unbelievable.
Oh my God, it's unlike anything else in college football, for sure.
Yeah. What's it like? Have you been back to a game since you've graduated?
Yeah, I went to, it's been 2 years since I've been to a game, but yeah, I went to, and played Illinois during the national championship game. Of course, Illinois, right?
Yep. Keep on digging me a hole. Yeah. So what's it like going back for you?
You know what, I'm fortunate enough that, when I go back, it's great to see all the coaches, the players that are still there, that I know, that I played with. I have a great relationship with Coach Meyer, Coach Marotti, Coach Warner. I mean, all the coaches that are still there that I know, and they're all great people. And it's actually kind of crazy. One of the first speeches that Coach Meyer gave us, he talked to us about, what one day when you come back here, it was one day in 10, 20 years from now, do you want to come back here? Are you going to want to? Is the legacy that you leave, however large or small, is it going to be positive or negative? Are people going to appreciate you coming back or not? And, I'm fortunate enough to, I think the people that I know there and the people, they appreciate when I come back, and guys like John Simon with the Texans, we train there. Jonathan Hankins, Gerald Baldwin, we trained with, Jake Stilmer, and we all come back, and we're well received. Can't talk. But it's that speech I took to heart, and I think that, it's fortunate that I, well received.
Yeah. Do you find yourself getting into mentor relationships with the current guys on the team?
It is difficult for guys that I don't know, but the guys that I played with that are still there, I consistently talk to Pat Elfline, who's the center there now, and he's I'm always talking to him. It's either about life or just about football. I work with him in the off season and trying to help him, give him some nuggets, as they call it, from the NFL that I can get to them, and that's really something positive. I love doing that, because I know that if I would have loved to have somebody come back and talk to me about that, and I think that Pat and I think Pat appreciates it.
Yeah, and you don't have to disclose the intimate details of it, but there's a football part of that discussion, but you also mentioned life. I mean, what are you touching on there? Like transitions and balancing school? What's girlfriends? What's that look like?
Well, actually, Pat's dating a girl named Emily, and she, my wife knew her. I forget how their relationship took off. I know she knows her cousin very well, Katie, but she, we take credit. I don't know how much credit we deserve, but we take credit for hooking, matching them up. And so it's we have a close relationship through that as well. But it's also about just like you said, the transition. Pat, there's so much that that you can't get from an agent or a coach or anybody other than a NFL player, and that me talking to Pat, giving him a real life, in the moment kind of scope on the transition. I think it's beneficial to him, since when he walks into the combine, he knows what to expect. When he walks in the first day that whatever team drafts him, he knows what to expect, and he's not in this kind of whirlwind that I was in, and just not knowing what the hell was happening. And I think it helps guys out a lot to have those types of connections.
Yeah, and to have that trust. Just like you and I had the conversations around business, right? I could have no impact on what you were getting into, in a combine, but I can help you out in terms of the ups and downs of starting a company. Having that discussion around the journey to go to the next phase of professional athletic, that's a big deal, man. But it goes to your credibility. People actually listen. A lot of people want to give advice. Not everybody wants to listen to everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I could attest to that for sure.
Yeah, I bet. When you think about the journey that you've been through, from high school to college, changes of coaches, transitions in from Ohio State to now the Green Bay Packers, working through this injury, which I know you're going to do. When you look back through that, and I'm not asking you to go into like great detail, but what stands out to you as a couple of those highlights that you look back and say, man, that was a good moment that I really worked my ass off, and that good things came out of that.
Yeah, I think the two major things, one's a kind of an abstract idea, but the one concrete moment that I always look back to is that when Coach Meyer came in, I was kind of in that limbo of, is my career really going to work out? Is my academic career going to work out? And we had these series, I think they call them something else now. I think they called them cleansing series or whatever, that they cleansed the team of whoever doesn't want to be there, really. And they were a series of 5 a.m. workouts that we had to do, and it was out in the snow, and you weren't allowed to wear any Ohio State gear. And they were grueling workouts, and I'm talking about 500-yard bear crawls and lunges up and down the field. I mean, that was just the beginning, It was
right.
They were extremely difficult workouts, and I think that was the year that we went 12-0, and I really think that myself, along with everybody in the team that completed those, that all made us, those workouts and those, going through that process made us all better players and better people. And I look back to that as thinking, like, man, that was great. I'm glad that happened to me, even though I hated it in the moment. It was,
as you go through it.
That was, that was the best thing that ever happened. And then the other thing is just, I don't know if it's innate or if it's, something that I just kind of adapted over time, but it seems like I've always been fortunate to never be satisfied in the position that you're in, and never because I'm in the NFL. And when I think about it, sometimes when I was in high school, looking up at the guys from my high school that were in the NFL, Kevin Tuminello and Steve Vallis, those guys, and John Greco, who's with the Browns currently. I looked up at them and thought, man, that's so amazing. That would be so cool if you could do it. And I think those guys would tell you now too, when you get, when you're thinking about it, it seems amazing. But when you get there, it's just another day at work. And no matter what level you're at, no matter what you're trying to achieve, it's just another day at work. You go in, you've been doing the same stuff you've been doing since you were a freshman in high school. You go in there, you lift, you put your work in, you do the film, practice, you get better, and then you go home, and to have that attitude, I think it's benefited me in the long run.
Yeah. Do you think that's what gets, you went to the biggest of stages, right? You played at Ohio State, right? 100,000 plus people watching you, and now you play for the Packers, you're starting as a rookie. Is that what does it, right? You don't have stage fright, right? You belong.
For sure. You know what? Maybe that's where it came from. Is that those 100,000 people? It sounds cliche or whatever, but I think you might be right on that. It's being able to handle all that and not let it affect you. I think that's something that over time builds up, and you kind of get used to it, and then if you can go through that, you can kind of go through anything.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. And I'm sure you've already shown that. In terms of support structure now, Anna's in the picture. She's been in the picture, but now she's officially in the picture.
Yeah.
How's that? I've looked at my family as, I've said it before. I married incredibly well. It overcomes a lot of my blemishes. But knowing where your resources are, knowing where your support structure is, knowing who's in your corner, it's the difference maker, right? My board at Game Plan, just studs. My family, studs. How do you find people that you trust? Because that sounds like that might be hard given where you are now. Just being able to identify the folks that are kind of in it because they have their own interests versus people who genuinely want to help Corey Linsley become the next, the best person ever.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think that I don't think it's any coincidence that, when I met Anna, my life, started to go on upward trend in terms of, everything from football to academics to just overall life. And that support structure is so critical. And it's, I guess I have maybe an easier path to that than a lot of people given my socioeconomic background. My parents are both, hardworking middle-class people that work their way through college and, know what it means to put in a day's work. And, and I grew up in a neighborhood and a school system that was safe and the school system was great and got an amazing high school education and yada, yada. And for some guys, especially the skill guys who are in the limelight and nobody's calling my name out on Saturday morning or Saturday afternoons or Saturday nights. They're calling, Braxton Miller's name out was our quarterback and Terrell Pryor and all that stuff. I mean, that's got to be extremely hard. And I think it's even more critical for those guys because those guys attract, unknowingly, and, they're not doing it on purpose at all, but those guys are the people that attract the kind of leeches, if you will, of society that just want to make, they want to take from you. They don't want to give you anything. They just want to be along for the ride and get everything they can out of you. And I think it's easier for linemen to do, and just by the nature of our position and that we don't get a lot of glory out of it, but it's so critical for, the guys in the limelight to have that kind of support structure, whether it's through, your girlfriend, fiance, wife, whether it's through your family, whether it's through your friends. And I think my friends have been an enormous amount of help on me. We still have our same group of high school friends, and they're all great people doing great things. And, they all, they've supported me through the way, but they've also, they're driven themselves, and they want to see the best out of themselves. And I think that support structure, you hit it right on the head. It's so important to have. And so many guys, get lost when they don't have it.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the ability to discern, the right folks, it means everything. But it sounds just like a lineman to be so kind about passing the all the limelight to the skilled guys, to the quarterback. Man, you are speaking in the microphone, so you need to go play this to Braxton and and to all your skilled guys now. Yeah. Well, we're wrapping up here. I can't thank you enough for this. But I'm not going to let you off the hook. If you had to go back in time, right? This is the magical question to Corey Linsley, the 19-year-old knucklehead. What are you saying to him? What's that conversation look like?
That's deep. I would say if I had to go back, I'd say, shut up. You don't know it all. It took me a while. I think it takes a lot of teenagers a while to figure it out that you don't know. You don't even know you don't know. Coach Drayton, he's with the Bears now. He used to say it all the time. He's like, these freshmen, they don't even know they don't know. And that's what I wish. If I could tell myself something, I'd be like, take in all that you can. Don't ever assume that you know it all. Don't ever assume that you know anything. Just learn as much as you can and just, that's about it. Yeah. It's a hard question. It's one that we all kind of wrestle with. I think you nailed it though. It's time tell device. It's great. Yeah. So,
Well, man, thank you. This has been time well spent for me. I've learned a ton, and I can't thank you enough for spending it here. We didn't get too much into your injury. I know you're just working your ass off to get back out in the field, and that's just a matter of time. And once you're there, it's, guys like you don't fail. So I'm just thrilled for you that you're feeling healthy again.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on here. I'm so fortunate that we've kept this relationship over the years, and look forward to talking with you again, bud. Yeah, man. Thanks. And just wish all you guys out there the best. And congratulations to Anna and the pup. Oh yeah. Appreciate it. The congratulations needs to go to me. She married down. Yeah. Let's ask her the conversation of Anna. If you had to talk to your 19-year-old self, what would that conversation look like? Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah. That would be the same conversation my wife, pre-marriage versus post-marriage. Yeah. So that's a question, we just don't want to let out of the bag. So it's all good. Exactly. Corey Linsley, thanks, man. This is awesome. I appreciate it. I'm gonna let you go at this, but we'll look forward to staying in touch with you. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
There is no trial.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho, H to the OV.
Thanks for listening to the Next Play podcast series brought to you by Game Plan. Join us weekly as industry leaders discuss the journey of the athlete. To learn more about Game Plan and the work that we do, please visit wearegameplan.com. Thanks so much.